We're going to call this meeting to order on March 27, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. We're going to have roll call by our city clerk.
Mayor Grunder is absent. Vice Mayor Miller.
Here.
Commissioner Bloodsworth.
Here.
Commissioner Howell.
Here.
Commissioner Whites.
Here.
We're going to have our invocation and pledge led by Commissioner Bloodworth.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, Lord. What a beautiful day we've had here in High Springs, Father. Just thank you for that. Lord, I just ask that you guide us here today to do your work and do the work of the city of High Springs residents, Father. Lord, I just want to ask that you keep our first responders safe, Lord. Just anytime they're out and about, Lord, I just pray that you have your hands upon them and keep them safe and do diligence with them as they do their work to save people and to help whatever they need to do. Father, I just ask you to be with our military overseas and abroad, Lord. Just be with them and keep them safe. Lord, and again, I thank you for this day as we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Approval of the agenda.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I make a motion we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. All right. Approval of the consent agenda from minutes of the March 13, 2025 commission meeting.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. All right. We have no special presentations on the night and no unfinished business. Citizen requests and comments for issues that are not on the agenda. Please state your name for the record, and everybody only has 5 minutes, and we are asking that the commission only respond after all the citizens come up with their request.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, Commission, Mr. Marshall. I'm here tonight to talk about an article that I saw in the Alachua Chronicle a couple of weeks ago regarding the Board of County Commissioners meeting. And I sent the video to the commissioners and Mr. Marshall, and I hope you had a chance to review it. I was looking at the article. I perused it just for information from the county commission, just to see if there's anything interesting. And there was an ordinance that was being considered for I forgot the word already, and that's why I wrote it down. They're not in the cities, municipalities, areas. What's the word, Catherine? There we go, unincorporated. Which didn't apply to us, of course, but I noticed High Springs residents were there. It mentioned in the article, so I read it, and I'm going to read to you the response I made to this meeting, and I will expound upon it. My comments to this meeting were, thank you, Commissioner Chestnut, for your support of the home rule. Commissioner Cornell said he heard their concerns, but unfortunately, they're not able, the City Commission, they unfortunately are not the City Commission, but we can certainly put whatever pressure the Commission wants to put on. He suggested putting on the agenda for the upcoming county-city joint meeting. What kind of pressure? That was my question. Ms. Wheeler, and I'm kind of reading this, I put this in their turn. She suggested that these are the new leaders of the High Springs and encouraged them to speak. We elected the current commission that unanimously agreed for a 3-year contract for our city manager, Jeremy Marshall. The new leaders are familiar to our commission and city manager. Some of the speakers do not even live in High Springs. What she was referring to were the speakers there. They are the new leaders of High Springs, which blows my mind. Julie Smith does not live in High Springs. Her self-promoting Facebook page, which lacks any verification of credibility, holds little to no weight. This is a local business matter, this brewery, and it is within our government's jurisdiction to manage it as deemed as appropriate. Claims about tourism-related revenue lack substantive and merit. Perhaps it would have been wiser to exclude our local brewery from the conversation. Promoting a drink and drive tour feels misaligned at best. This is a highly controversial issue for the city of High Springs and should be only addressed by the residents. The last motion made by now our Mayor Grunder to put on the ballot died due to the lack of a second. The brewery understood when it was built that it would not be open on Sundays. There are no businesses open on Sundays except for restaurants. So revenue can't come into effect. And also, as far as tourism, business and tourism, if they included High Springs before the brewery, there's no reason why they shouldn't continue whether the brewery's here or not. I don't think that's going to be an issue. Religion is not the only reason for opposition to Sunday opening. It was stated during the BOCC meeting that the brewery has been put on the June 5th, 2025 joint meeting agenda. I hope that everyone can attend who has issues with this problem. Thank you.
Good evening, City Commission. My name is Andy Slutsky. I'm a local resident and local business owner. I do have a list of items that are of concern. Some do correlate in conjunction with the proposal for the new McDonald's facility. So I'll try to be direct, brief, and to the point on as many of these items.
Anything related to McDonald's, you will have to wait till we.
Okay, then I will address the safety concerns of the highway that I have, so I can separate these two separate areas and then just keep that, if that's appropriate, sir. Is they're not correlating in direct to their community safety
That's
issues.
fine.
All right. I own the property directly across the street from Winn-Dixie, next to the Baptist church, and I have major concerns about community safety due to the highway and the amount of accidents that are occurring on that stretch of road. Now, I do understand that it is a high state highway, 441, so it is governed over by the Department of Transportation. So how much this commission can do over this, I'm not entirely sure. My concerns are for safety. You can't stop progress, but it's coming through. It's coming into Newberry. It's coming into High Springs. Our historic community of High Springs goes way back farther than the heritage, which I love the heritage projects going on, and many people appreciate what this city is doing. I think it's beautiful. But this country dates back to the Indian tribes that settled here even in the 1700s before, which explains with the natural river sink and river rise and why it was such a highly, I apologize for the phone, a highly used area of commerce. And into present day, how that translates into 2025 is we have, I don't know, I think maybe counted 7 different roads coming in through this town, which I highly appreciate the police department and the safety of this community and what they do for this community. But this town is a very pass-through town, and maybe 9 roads without counting the county roads. The issue that I see and I directly witness in front of our home, and I purchased the property for, I'm not complaining about, I'll be putting up an 8-foot fence when I have an approval from the City Planning Commission when engineering plans. So this is an unbiased opinion, just merely concerned about the safety of the people. 2 weekends ago, on a Sunday night at 8:45, a man on a bicycle was hit and dragged down the road. Now, if you hadn't heard the noise like that, it was the most grueling thing to hear. We thought it was fireworks going off when we heard the scraping going down the highway, and I don't think that's going to leave my mind. It's pretty well etched in it. In another incident, almost a year ago, I was a first responder to a woman that was hit, blindsided by a hit-and-run vehicle. By the time the emergency crews came to the scene, I was able to get down the highway and help her to stop her vehicle because she was hollering, "Help, help," and I made it out to help her. As our local police department responded quickly, They determined that the hit-and-run driver was maybe from the adjacent county over, which they have no jurisdiction over, and all they could do is call the police department in that county to try to track that driver. I sit in my office on the days that I'm not at work, and I just hear the near hits, the beeps, the accidents. I watch the close calls, and I'm wondering how many deaths do we need? I don't know this man's name. I only see on the news, but he could have been a father, he could have been a son, cousin. He's somebody's loved one. I don't know his name, but his name's important. I'm concerned about the safety of this stretch. I'm concerned about the access to Ashton Ridge, and I'm just waiting until the first, and let me phrase this correctly, God forbid one of the children from First Christian Academy gets hit. Whether it's a reduction in speed limit to 35, more local law enforcement putting signs out. I've given local law enforcement permission to park on my private property in one of the easements, and I will actually send that memo to the police department, because the day that I needed to settle some business with some DMV matters on a vehicle, when his squad was parked there, everyone was just so civil and so kind and so respectful. Is that the kind of presence that we need for people to respect human life and regard each other? I am so concerned about this issue. Again, not from a bias standpoint, because I chose to buy this property where I did for future planning purposes myself. I am concerned for the community at large, and that's my statement.
All right, do we have any commissioner response?
I'd just like to respond quickly, if I could, to the community safety issue. We all feel that that stretch of 441 has become increasingly problematic. I almost got T-boned a couple weeks ago, just traveling down the road, and the city manager and I have spoken about trying to maybe get a workshop together with DOT, because it is problematic, and why we don't have a school zone out there is an answer. I'd like to know why. So I want to tell you that we hear you. Thank you.
All right, any other commissioner response? All right, new business, item number 1, discuss and consider an act on awarding bid for the fire station HVAC replacement.
Good evening, Vice Mayor Miller and Commission. We went out for bid for this project, and we'd like to award this project to Crystal Air. The reasons for that, they were very thorough when they came in and did their pre-construction or pre-bid walkthrough, asked several questions, got on the roof, were very thorough with what they did as far as making sure that everything was proper and in place, to a point where we actually had to stop the initial bid, have the mechanical engineer redo the plans, and then resubmit the bid again, because there were some issues that would have caused us to have some kind of change orders or anything like that during the initial project if we would have went through with the first set of plans that we were given. So on the basis that they were thorough, very cordial, and really did their homework when it came to placing the bid, we would like to go with Crystal Air for this project.
Yeah, I'll say personally, when I read the 2 different responses, they are offering a lot more than Shine Company. Does anybody have any responses?
I have one question, please, Mr. Vice Mayor. Are the 2 units comparable?
It's the same
SEER rating, everything?
It's the same exact
Yeah, okay.
units, yes. It's just
Okay.
different pricing.
Okay.
Have we worked with any of these companies in the past?
I don't think the fire department's worked with Crystal Air in the past, no.
Okay. Well, that's
Chief,
even better.
Uh-huh.
since I've been over there and you showed me around and the existing units and all that, is all that other stuff coming out?
Yep.
And we're going to have all new stuff, and we don't have to worry about this in the near future other than just replacement later on?
Correct. The scope of the work is to remove all of the ductwork, all of the current HVAC equipment, and to replace it with all new HVAC equipment, all new ductwork, all new everything. And they're actually adding additional returns and additional outlets. So we'll have a better flow within the department.
Okay.
So that should alleviate all our issues.
And as
problems that
far
we
as
have.
when you said engineer and then had to rebid,
Right.
both companies had the chance to rebid and?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, both companies had the chance to rebid, and we actually ran both of these bids through our mechanical engineer who actually wrote the plans, and it was his recommendation to go with Crystal Air also.
Okay.
Mr. Vice Mayor, if I may, Mr. Miller, is this money that's coming from the ARPA funds that we approved to be spent?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Okay.
All right, I entertain
One question, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It does state in the bid that the structural steel is not included in
Yeah,
this?
that's a great question. I followed up with the Crystal Air and with the mechanical engineer, and I actually reviewed the plans myself again. Where they're going to place the unit on the roof won't require structural steel because they're going to be putting it over load-bearing walls. So it's going to be able to take the load of the unit that they're putting on there. So that should not require any kind of structural steel.
Yeah.
That's why that's in there like that.
Do we have any citizen comments? All right, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I make a motion, we award the bid to Crystal Air and Water.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. All right,
Thank you.
all right. New business item number 2, discuss, consider, and act on the site plan for Whitfield Window and Door.
Good evening, Commission. So before you is the commercial site plan. Oh, sorry.
Do we need to swear the witness in? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'll be sworn in.
I thought- Okay, thank you. Raise your right hand. Thank you so much. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give was the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor.
All right, so it is a commercial site plan. This is for Whitfield Window and Door. It's going in the industrial park, so it'll be next to the existing Whitfield Window and Doors. This was reviewed internally by our site plan review committee. They did go through some comment response letters and several rounds of getting everything up to code. Then it was reviewed by our plan board, which they voted 5-0 at the last meeting to recommend approval. Seeing as they've met all the minimum requirements in our code, staff also does recommend approval on this one. And the applicant is here if you have any technical questions. Otherwise, I can help with process questions.
Mr. Vice Mayor, if I may, I assume that Mr. Bolliger was good with the retention ponds.
Yes, he was.
If he's good with them, I'm good with them.
I'll say that I like seeing that somebody needed to expand here in High Springs, 'cause that means we're gonna have some more jobs. And so that was a good thing to see. Any more comments?
I've been in that facility numerous times, and I rode out there yesterday, actually, and it looks like just a routine add-on facility with a new retention pond, and new parking, so I'm good with it.
Any citizens have anything that they would like to say? All right, I entertain a motion.
I make a motion to accept the addition to Whitfield and Door.
Second.
Is this a roll call vote? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, it's approved. All right. New business item number 3, discuss and consider an act on site plan for fast food restaurant McDonald's on partial 00207-007-000.
Similar to the last item that you just reviewed. I don't need to be sworn in again, do I? Okay, just making sure. Similar to the last item you reviewed, this is a commercial site plan, so they have to meet all the standards in our land development code. This item was also internally reviewed by our site plan review committee and then voted on by the plan board. Plan board voted 4-1. to recommend approval. The applicant is here, and they do have a presentation for you, and they will entertain all the questions on the project.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I apologize. I met Craig earlier. I apologize for interrupting, but my daughter has a band concert, and I am sorry, but I have to leave so I don't miss that. But I appreciate their presentation and being here.
All right.
At this time, any of you are going to speak on this issue, we'll swear you all in at one time, if that's okay. So just raise your right hands. I know you wanted to speak back there. Yep. All right. Okay. All right. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, so sworn.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Craig McDonald with Corporate Property Services on behalf of McDonald's USA LLC. We're here tonight to request approval for 3,850, let me just pull that up, 59 square foot McDonald's with a side-by-side drive-through and 38 seats. The property is zoned C3 commercial with a future land use designation of commercial. The site plan request complies with or exceeds all land development code regulations, standards, and requirements within the City of High Springs city's land development code. The project is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policy of the comprehensive plan as it meets all the requirements of the land development code. The project will meet the city's adopted levels of service and not degrade any levels of service for the city with regard to potable water, wastewater, transportation, stormwater management, solid waste, and impact fees. This is the site right here. That's the Tractor Supply. There's a parcel in between where the McDonald's go, and McDonald's is just to the south there. Obviously, it's a heavily vegetated area between us and the residents back there with about a 150-foot buffer with some 50, 60-foot trees back there. Let's see. Let me go right here. So this is the overall. So you're going to see how it fits in with the Tractor Supply. We're actually going to build the cross-access road that connects the two parcels. There's already a stub out for that road there today with the Tractor Supply. McDonald's has a right-in, right-out access there, and at the rear of the site, we're at an additional pretty dense landscape buffer and retention area back there. I'll blow up the site plan. Oh, one thing I did want to say is there is a gopher on the site. Our biologists have identified 2 burrows. There's one just off-site. We're working with FWC and in for a permit right now. We've paid $6,000 to relocate it to a site in Jacksonville, and that permit should be issued sometime middle of April. But there's no other endangered species out on site. This is a blow-up of our site right here. You can see we've got a right-in, right-out access into the site with a raised median, kind of what they call the pork chop there. We've got one-way circulation all the way around the site with 60-degree angle parking spaces in the same direction flow of the drive-through to ensure safe site circulation. We've got ADA parking adjacent to the building for safety purposes. We're required 39 parking spaces. We're providing 39 spaces. We've got a large 35-foot landscape buffer along the front of the site, as you can see. Our dumpster's back in the southwest corner. It's going to be buffered by landscaping and the retention area in the rear part of the property. You can see how much landscaping we're going to put on this site. It's going to be heavily landscaped. We exceed all the landscaping requirements of the code also. So we're going to be improving the right-of-way. Actually, let me jump back real quick. A couple things came up at the last meeting. Our photometric plan that you have in your packets, all the lighting is going to face away from the residential. At our rear property line, back behind the retention, there's 3 spots that are 0.1 foot candles. As you go 5 feet off site, they come down to 0 foot candles. So there'll be no glare or any type of lighting into the residence behind us, especially with that 150-foot buffer back there. So here, let me just talk to you about, we're working with FDOT. We have been for several months. We had a pre-application meeting. We revised our plans, went back to them a couple times before we formally submitted for a permit. We're in for that permit now, and we expect permits the middle of April as well on that one. We're going to be providing a cross-access connection, as I talked about, to the Tractor Supply site. 441, as we know, is an FDOT right-of-way that abuts the McDonald's site. The proposed improvements include a left turn lane, a concrete separator, the pork chop that restricts traffic to a right in, right out, turning movements to and from McDonald's. We're putting a new bike lane in and a pedestrian sidewalk connection to the site. Let me show you. This slide I'll show. So you can see with kind of a blow up of the improvements, and I'm going to do them one by one so you can see what we're doing. So that's a cross connection, the blue. It's going to show the cross connection between the two parcels. The left turn lane is going to come right here, and that's going to be into the Tractor Supply. Tractor Supply, we should have been required to put one in back in the day, but somehow it slipped through the cracks, but we're going to go ahead and put it in now. That's a concrete separator there, so people can't come out of McDonald's and go to the north, or people heading north can't go across into the McDonald's site. That's the pork chop, the separator on our site. That's the bike lane that we'll be installing along the property where we're doing the turn lane and widening the right-of-way right there. And that's the sidewalk that we're going to be putting up. All these improvements are costing McDonald about $350,000 to make this whole section of roadway much safer than it exists today. I was out there before the public or planning and zoning board meeting, tried to turn left into Tractor Supply, and I had cars honking at me, and 4 of them, while I was waiting to turn, obviously the traffic going the other way, pulling around into the bike lane, so to pass me at 55 miles an hour. So this is going to make it much safer, much more queuing space in that left turn lane there, so cars can continue to head north on that right of way. It's our freestanding sign, just a pole sign, 18 feet high, meets the code. It will not obstruct any cross visibility where the curb cut intersects the right of way. We'll exceed the 10 by 10 required safe site triangle there. The sign will also be buffered for the residential, which you won't see it through that dense jungle back there, but the building's 19.5 feet high and the sign's 18, so you would never see it back there. The menu boards with regard to sound, their ambient noise level automatically adjusts on the menu board. So during the day when sound's a lot greater, the speaker tends to be a little bit louder, but as the ambient noise level dies down, the speaker also adjusts to that. The brightness is also adjusted during the daytime. It's the brightest right around noon, 1 o'clock because of the sunlight, and then it dims down as it becomes nighttime, and that's automatic as well. I don't think the residents will ever hear the drive-through speaker back there with that buffering. Let me show you the building we're doing. These are the elevations, more of a contemporary modern architectural elevations with earth tone colors. Here's the rendering showing the non-drive-through side in the front facing 441. This is the drive-through side in the front again facing 441. I just want to let you know McDonald's going to employ about 60 plus or minus people at this location, full-time and part-time. They're going to be a good tax base for the city and just an additional dining option for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Again, the proposed McDonald's restaurant with a drive-through is a permitted use and allowed as a matter of right in accordance with the standards and procedures set forth in the City of High Springs Land Development Code, and we respectfully request your approval. Thank you.
I would like to say that the site plan was thoroughly thought out. You all made sure you dotted every I, crossed every T. So I do appreciate that the site plan was well thought out. Especially, I like the connector from Tractor Supply and McDonald's. That's a huge benefit because a lot of times, I was talking with city manager earlier, a lot of people make that it's before your property, but they make a U-turn where they're not supposed to. And so having that connector, even if you make the U-turn where you're supposed to, now you can come out of McDonald's parking lot and go where you're actually supposed to go at. So I actually think that does help with safety because that a lot of people don't like going way down there because it's a far way to make a U-turn at. So that was actually well thought out.
Mr. McDonald, where is the sign going to go from in that picture right there? Where will it be placed at?
So it'll be set back the required 7 feet. There's those 2 pink bushes right there. It'll be on the south side of the driveway.
Okay, gotcha. Yep, gotcha. Also, the building size. Are you familiar with the one in Lake Butler? Did y'all do that job? Okay. Is it gonna be similar size, the one here in Lotchaway, or is it gonna be a smaller size building? Just curious about that.
Yeah, most of the buildings these days for McDonald's range from about 3,600 to 3,900 square feet. This is 3,859. Most of the business is done through the drive-through, probably 70%
Yes.
these days. So the indoor seats that you'd actually sit in the restaurant are only 38. Back in the day, we used to have 70 to 90 seats in a restaurant.
That might be the one in Lake Butler. It's a smaller size inside. It's
Yes.
more of the drive-through.
That's correct. And these days, there's so many menu options that the kitchen equipment has expanded, so that takes up a lot.
Yep, okay. All right, so that's probably what we're looking at, that size over there then, okay. I appreciate y'all going the extra mile to get that turn lane, because people have complained about the turn lane not being there for Tractor Supply anyway. So this is gonna solve some of that issue for our safety anyway. But yeah, that's all I got, thank you.
Any more commissioner comments?
Before you step down, Mr. McDonald, can you give us your expertise, your area of experience, that sort of thing? In a quasi judicial, of course, we have to look at that with a competent, substantial evidence standard. So if you could give us that, that would be helpful for the record.
In urban regional planning. I graduated from University of Florida with an economics degree and then went back, got a master's in urban regional planning, practicing for almost 26 years. 25, so quite a long time. Thank you.
All right, we're going to take citizen comments. I just want to friendly remind everyone that we are talking about the site plan itself, not whether or not you like McDonald's as a fast food restaurant. Thank you. 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is John Joyner. I actually have some property in that area. But part of what my concern is that you've got the turn in going through Tractor Supply, and I know there's a lot of tractors, or not tractor trailers, but trailers that go in there. And I'm concerned about, the backup that you're gonna have, people trying to come in there and also get to the McDonald's that may be blocked up during the peak hours. Definitely the turn lane, I agree, that's a great idea, should be done. But I don't know that, why we couldn't have another turn lane up further to where they could enter the other spot there, alleviating them all having to go right through the Tractor Supply. So that's all.
Again, on the safety concern, I did have the opportunity to attend last week's meeting for the Planning Commission and hear the first statement before the vote was made 4-1. There were some concerns about the signage from the community members. I don't unfortunately remember the name, but one member of the community had stepped up and talked about, to put it in the quickest terms, that concerned about the direction of High Springs going, and it actually did generate conversation around the sign to where one of the members did request to Mr. McDonald, is there a catalog book? There's certain communities and all over the country, right, that have their own separate codes, districts, and their specific, forgive me for looking for the word, regulations for their signs. So yes, it does fall within all of our parameters, essentially, but there was concerns as could we put more of a sign that would go with our community was expressed. Again, coming back to the Heritage District, which technically ends, after the motels there. No, it's not in the Heritage District, but there was concerns about, the image for the town, and if McDonald's would be considering, to compromise on that in some regard, because it was essentially, for the lack of a better word, expressed that it'd be an eyesore. So there was discussion around that, and it was pretty quickly shut down by Mr. McDonald, saying, it meets standards, and shut that conversation down pretty quickly. So they're unwilling to work with it. My other concern is litter. Is McDonald's going to adopt the highway? There's going to be a huge amount of litter. I'm concerned about, I look in the parallel on On Archer Road at I-75 at the McDonald's, and I see the homeless problem. Again, no judgment towards people that are homeless. I once experienced that as a child. There are programs to get out of that and get on a better path. So there's no judgment towards those. However, the fitness center has already had issues with having to evict the homeless off their property. And then the homeless have become an issue for Tractor Supply now as well, utilizing their power, which they didn't mind so much at that point, but they were leaving garbage and trash everywhere. And as far as I know, they're actually residing on that C3 commercial property as we speak right now. So my concern is the loitering that it's going to bring around to the community as well. And the safety, my biggest safety concern is, where do the Ashton Ridge residents get into there safely? Everybody needs to pull a U-turn at that first divider directly in front of where the ins and outs were. Mr. McDonald said, and they've been very cooperative with the DOT, and I appreciate that, did a road study, that's excellent, but the road study is also going to determine to them on how much business they're going to generate, not necessarily just the safety of the community. He also made a statement at that meeting that says, McDonald's
Sir,
typically
we're
doesn't
sorry
do
that
this.
your
Yes, sir.
time is up.
Hello, my name is Petra Townsend, and I'm a resident of Hive Springs for over 20 years. I live off of Boat Rant Road in River Run Plantation, and I want to pick up where he left off as far as the safety concerns go with the McDonald's. I've lived in River Run for 10 years, and I have to turn my left-hand turn signal when I'm traveling north on 441 starting at the Winn-Dixie to signal to people that I will be making a left-hand turn. And this has only gotten worse since the Tractor Supply went in and the Anytime Fitness. And I think the concern that he's pointing out is the people that are turning into Ashton Ridge at that first divider there are going to be making their U-turn, and people are going to be coming out of the McDonald's at the same time, and that is a safety concern without a traffic light there. I've seen so many accidents and fatalities. I came and spoke before the Tractor Supply was approved, expressing concerns, and the very next day somebody died right there on 441. I know that this is a DOT issue and there needs to be more traffic studies, but it is very concerning to me, and I don't think that just putting in the turn lane with the concrete is going to alleviate the traffic there.
Hello, my name is Laura Sanders, and I am also a resident of High Springs for 35 years. And my husband and I actually live in Ashton Ridge, and you can see our backyard in that picture there. To continue everybody's concern, like we are definitely concerned about the traffic as well. We have to do the U-turn or pull into the road that goes behind Winn-Dixie and then turn around immediately and try to get through. It's definitely dangerous. As they have said, we can hear all the accidents too from our backyard. We have a couple of other concerns like semi parking. We can hear all of the semis that pull into Tractor Supply. And the lights even come straight into our room through the fence. Tractor Supply did supply our neighborhood with that fence, and it's been extremely helpful. So I'm wondering if McDonald's would also be willing to do the same, just to continue that barrier. It helps a lot with sound and lights, although he did say that the lights were going to be modified to not shine into our neighborhood. Tractor Supplies still shine directly into my bedroom at night and in the morning. So those are our concerns. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nathan Warner. Good evening, Mayor, council members, and fellow residents. Thank you for allowing me time to speak today about an issue that directly affects our health, our economy, and the character of our town. High Springs is a unique community. My wife and I moved here 5 years ago. We love the charm and the locally owned businesses. Today I want to discuss the potential consequences of allowing a McDonald's or any major fast food chain to establish itself here. If this is out of line, I can stop now, otherwise I'm going to keep it short. Just the site plan. Okay. This doesn't have to do with the site plan. It's more about McDonald's. Okay. Okay. Just so it's on the record. All of these are sourced, and I will leave my sources here just in case you'd like to research the studies that I looked up. Fast food is not just about convenience. It has real consequences on public health. Studies show that regular consumption of fast food, including McDonald's, is linked to higher rates of obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. According to research published in Globalization and Health, multinational fast food chains contribute to rising obesity rates worldwide. High Springs is a town of just over 6,000 people, and we take pride in our outdoor activities, from springs to hiking trails and so on. Bringing in a McDonald's can encourage more unhealthy eating habits, especially among our youth. A study in the Times UK found that when a fast food chain is open near schools, childhood obesity rates rise significantly. Do we really want to expose our children to this? Beyond health, there's an economic impact. High Springs thrives on its local businesses. The mom and pop restaurants that give this town character, the success of places like the Great Outdoors, Bev's Burgers, and others, is vital to our economy. Research shows that when McDonald's moves in, local restaurants often struggle to compete. A study from ResearchGate found that McDonald's aggressive marketing expansion leads to reduced diversity in food options and takes money away from local businesses. Additionally, a report in Appetite Journal found that when McDonald's enters a community, people shift their spending habits. Instead of supporting local eateries, they opt for fast food, funneling money out of the town and into a global corporation. Thank you for your time.
Any more citizen comments? Oh, I'm sorry.
You have a question?
Okay.
McDonald's pros to be 24 hours, like 24/7?
Mr. McDonald?
Does anybody else have to speak, or I want to
No.
address everybody's stuff here. I'll address that one. Yeah, they usually don't open up 24 hours. It depends on the market, and if the demand's there. I mean, if it's there, they'd like the right to be able to be open 24 hours, and then the code allows it, but they won't be to start. And I don't know that I see this one as being a 24 hours like an interstate, but that's the answer to that. With regard to the speakers got up here, I mean, saying we're an eyesore with our sign, it's just the Golden Arch, and it does meet code. There's 23 other signs within a mile of ours that are pole signs, so we're certainly not any more an eyesore than anybody else. We're just looking for the same affordability and the signage recognition that everybody else is allowed. And unwilling to work with the city, I think we are willing to work with you. We're doing all the right-of-way improvements. I said we're spending $350,000. We're concerned with the residents and the lighting, adding the landscape in there. We're relocating the Gopher Tortoise. That's quite an expense as well. As far as homeless, there's no outdoor seating here, so there's no encouragement of tables for them to sit at outside or camp out. If they're there, the police will be called and they'll be asked to leave. We police our own lot. The owner-operator will have to police their own lot. McDonald's looks after that, so I'm not sure about that. Adopted a roadway would be. Our traffic engineer's here. He can speak to all the accidents. We researched it over the 5-year period. He's got that information if you'd like to hear it, but over a 5-year period, it's not an extraordinary amount. And while they said, the right-of-way improvements are not going to help the situation of traffic, that's true, but we're going to make it much safer in this section of the roadway than what exists today. And, we're not looking to put out any other business as well. This will be a complement to other businesses in here. These local businesses like Bev's that was mentioned stuff, they're pretty solidly entrenched here and in Gainesville, so I don't think they'll be going anywhere. We're just looking to complement them. That's it. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Janet Evans. I did not raise my hand to speak.
You would have to be sworn in.
All right, I'm just making a comment, but.
That's all right. We're glad you are. Thank you. Go ahead and raise your right hand. Ms. Evans, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
So sworn.
Okay. I just wanted to make a couple of comments based on what I've heard here in the audience. First, I do understand that the code has been met on all of this stuff, but and I like the idea of the pork chop, but my number one concern is that traffic, and I understand that's a DOT issue, but I'm here in the audience, I'm hearing it, that concern, and I'm stating the same. The other thing that I liked, the comments about the character of the town. I know that when CVS went and applied for their location down here, they had to design it a little bit more in a historic type style. When the gentleman spoke about this contemporary modern configuration, of course, the first thing that I thought of was, you know, I don't know if at this planning stage anything can be said about trying to make that a little bit more high springy. I do know that character of the town is really important for a lot of the residents here. Thank you.
All right, any commissioner comments? Oh, I'm sorry.
I am Alexander Linares. I'm a resident in Ashton Ridge as well. I've talked to a lot of my neighbors, and they're all concerned about, you know, the sound and then potential light pollution. I understand that there has been modifications or considerations for the lights to not be pointing towards us, but the sound, especially from Tractor Supply, and then how McDonald operates, that they'll bring in their goods or things that they're intending to have inside the store at different times depending on demand, which is normal for most businesses, but those times, like, it could be, you know, different times of the night, and a lot of us in that community are young parents. We have young children, and you're trying to keep keep asleep, and then also just any basic human being would like to sleep without having noise around 3 o'clock or even midnight. So that was one of the aspects that I really liked about High Springs when I first moved in, because it's nice and quiet. I'm commuting from here to Gainesville every day because I work at the University of Florida. So that's a big major concern. And I also proposed in the last meeting if we can have the same kind of fencing that Tractor Supply also provided for our community, just to buffer the sound or light. It just something additional to be able to help with something that's going to be an issue, and it's a concern of everyone in the community, everyone I've talked to. Unfortunately, you know, not everybody is able to come, but they all voice their opinions, and I'm relating it. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll address the wall real quick, or the barrier there. So you've got about 150 feet of thick forest there that's going to help buffer out any noise. The parcel in between Tractor Supply and us, eventually when that gets developed, you know, and it's a commercial use and it backs up to residential, you know, but they're going to be the ones that end up putting a wall or a fence in back along the rear and the side behind McDonald's. We don't even abut the residential back there. So we're putting a pretty thick buffer back there already with trees you can see on our plan there. So this should more than buffer the noise from the distance to the residents back there. With regard to deliveries take about 20-30 minutes. They come in cart deliveries with McDonald's. It's not a ton of noise. They pull in. They usually have 8, 9, 10 carts. They wheel them in the back of the house. They pick up the old carts, put them in the thing, and they take off. So it's not, they don't sit there for a long period of time whatsoever with today.
Yeah, now I do have a question while you're up. So with this site plan, the way that I see it from the image, McDonald's is kind of tucked into the landscape, so it's not like how you got, you know, a major McDonald's where it's right off the side of the road. So I actually think that as far as aesthetics, like we say, it's actually kind of tucked into the landscape. It's not extra visible for the road, right?
That's correct. Right behind us, which would be to the west and kind of to the south, it's pretty heavily landscaped and wooded, tucked in the back in there. In addition, we're adding a lot of landscape there too. You got some of it mixed in between us, the Tractor Supply right there, but it's quite a ways back to the residential back there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I wasn't sworn in either.
Okay, you gotta be sworn in.
Present. You state your name?
Oh, Jen Cole?
Thank you. Right hand's raised. So do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
So sworn.
I live in the back of the property where the clearing is. You can see my fence from there as well. And as far as that is wide open, there is not a lot of vegetation. There's not a lot of trees there. So, I mean, that whole side, it's gonna go right back. So I just wanted to point that out. They keep saying there's a lot of vegetation, and they're putting in a lot of trees, and it really looks like there's about 6 trees going in. So I just wanted to make that clear. Where that opening is in the back, that's where my fence is. So it's really not all that much trees, all that many trees.
Okay, Mr. McDonald, where the lime green is, that's where all landscaping is, right?
Yeah, around the perimeter, there's a lot more than 6 trees. I think we got somewhere around 40 trees or plus going in here. Everything you see around the site, to the rear of that, and the pink along the side, I think she said she lives back there, but the building is much further there than it is to these folks right here as well, in the menu board, so it's a little bit further away from that residence as well.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I gotta be sworn in.
Made everything. Go ahead and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir. So sworn.
So since the last hurricane, these trees back here, so this is our house back here, a lot of these have fallen, and it's like pretty much wide open, and all these houses right here, like you could directly see, and it goes kind of uphill, and you would see all that. And there's literally nothing here. I mean, as soon as they put all this out, like, you could stand here and see into our backyard. So that's what we're trying to say is this would never barrier the sound or anything. Like, it's loud enough with this, with the fence, and then it's worse with the semis, which they sit back there and run their generators all night. This is just gonna make it even worse with all the noise, and it's just gonna travel over. So if they were to put a fence, that would help out, but if they're not going to, they should do something here because, again, everyone pulling in is gonna be able to see right into the back of all our homes unless we put up a 40-foot fence. So that's all I have to say about that.
Whoever comes in to develop that parcel in between us is gonna have to provide the barrier between the residential. Our site's completely surrounded by C3 zoning. We meet all the requirements for the number of trees along the buffer that we're required to put in. We don't abut residential at all with our parcel.
I think.
Sir, I'm sorry. You can't speak
No.
again.
Call procedure.
I'm sorry. You can't speak again, sir.
Well, you know, I know about the middle property, don't you?
All right. Commissioner comments. I'm sorry, sir. You already. I'm sorry. What's the question?
The question is, if this, I mean, once this gets approved, what's the plan for how long is gonna be construction and when does construction start? That was another question that was relayed to me from a lot of my neighbors.
So yeah, once this gets approved, we're in for our building permit right now. I said we're working with FWC on the Gopher Tortoise relocation. We're working with FDOT. That'll probably take until middle, end of April. We'll probably get some comments, so I'd say this will probably start somewhere around June, July, and they're about 95 to 105 days for the construction. It's not a long time for construction. These go up fairly quick. So there won't be a lot of inconvenience with that. We'll fence the lot for safety purposes during construction as well.
Does that time frame include the road?
Yeah, the road will be done at the same time. Yeah, the entire construction will take place together.
Look, I know Ashton Ridge, the development of that when that went in. I was delivering over here at the time as an employee with UPS. That was a terrible design to begin with. You do have the exit to come back around by FCA. I think that used to be called 199th Lane. I don't know if that's what it is today. But that's how safely wise that if you have to go north, you got to come around the other side of the church and FCA to safely go towards Lake City. It's a terrible design. That's the way they designed Ashton Ridge when it first went in. You cannot safely make a left-hand turn to go north out of that subdivision. I know that. I've seen it. Been there, done it many times. This is an American company. It's child-friendly. Everybody knows McDonald's. We've looked for advanced businesses in our town. They've already been approved by the planning board. I mean, they're trying to do everything to suit our needs. If you buy a house near a commercial property, that's what's going to happen. It's sad to say, but that is the truth. We can't stop commercial and residential property joining in and combining and making it anything else. I mean, it's just the way it is. Unfortunately, that's the nature of it. At some point in time, commercials are going to end up going into residential neighborhood. People that live down here, downtown, dealing with the great outdoors, the brewery, and other places on Friday and Saturday night that have music, they dealing with this every single night on the weekends. They don't like it. I'm sure this is not going to be as bad as what these folks down here have to deal with because of music. As far as the Tractor Supply issue with trailers, I understand where that feller's coming from. I go in there and do business there. I pull a trailer in there and pull it out. It's going to be an issue. People will have to try to have some common sense on pulling in and out of the place. There ain't no doubt about it. There again, it is a child-friendly American company that everybody knows, McDonald's. I believe it's going to be good for High Springs. I don't think it's going to take away from any other residents or a restaurant in town. It's just going to add variety in this town. So I'm okay with the development.
All right. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the site plan for the future McDonald's.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right. City Attorney report update. All right, City Manager report.
All right, so on Tuesday, myself, Commissioner Howell, Commissioner Bloodsworth, and Commissioner Whites went to the Florida League of Cities Legislative Action Days. Got to go around the Capitol. They talked with our state legislators about different legislation that's coming through and where we stand on it, and also talked about some of the funding requests that we need or we're requesting. And I think it was successful. I think we learned a lot as a group and got our message across. I want to thank Mayor Grunder, the fire department, the police department, and our assistant city clerk, Jamie, and our PIO, the wonderful Mr. Kevin, for attending the Santa Fe High School Career Fair. Got out, got some young people that show what local government jobs are out there. We have a special magistrate that we've been trying to get. The bid opening will be held on Monday, April 7th at 3 p.m. and will be placed on the April 24th agenda. Just a reminder, I will not be here for the April 24th meeting. I'm out of the country that week. The baseball jamboree at the Hale Brady Recreation Complex Saturday, March 29th from 8 to 9 p.m. And the last thing I want to bring up, I'm going to give it a very, very brief summary on what's going on. So under the charter, I got to bring up anything that's going to impact us significantly on a financial aspect. And when we bought the canoe outpost, we bought it Wild Spaces money. Well, Wild Spaces money was used for the debt service, and that Wild Spaces tranche ended in 2023. So the county has emailed us, they emailed us today, but they've been talking to us for a couple weeks, that we may have to pay the $260,000 back for the wild spaces because of the way it ended. Don't get too upset by it. We're in the very infant stages. Diane and I met today. We'll be meeting probably next week to talk about solutions, and talking with Gina Peebles at the county in conjunction with the Infratax and Surtax Oversight Board that oversees us, and try to find out the best solution we can. $260,000. If we have to pay that all at once, it's going to be a big punch in the gut. It's going to undo a lot of the good work that we've done over the last year. I will bring this up as we get more information, but I wanted to put it on your radars and let you have some time to think about it while we really find out what this is, the severity of it, and come up with a action plan for you. But I just wanted to put it on your radar that it's something that's fairly major. And go ahead, Wayne.
Can I question that? How did we get into this kind of contract for Wild Spaces that I thought when coming on board here that Wild Spaces was designated almost for a lifetime usage?
So it's...
How does that work? Have you been able to dig into that and learn what that's all about?
Yep. So Wild Spaces came out of legislation that was passed in 2017. In 2017, or in 2020, right, we decided to buy the Canoe Out, 2021, okay, buy the Canoe Outpost. In transparency, or actually, let me keep going. In 2023, they wanted to do an additional half-cent surtax, which ended that tranche of money and started a new one in 2023. So when we bought the Canoe Outpost, which I don't think any of the commissioners were on, and in transparency, they had no idea, they had no way of knowing that the county would implement this new tranche of money with the new surtax and whatnot. So we are an unintended consequence of that. And I think the county's just realizing it now, and we're just realizing that we are an unintended consequence of that new legislation that went through. So nobody could have foreseen this. But because of that, we are going to try to argue, one, we're trying to find a way to lessen the impact of it, but we're also going to be looking at it, maybe proposing a multi-year repayment plan so it doesn't hurt as bad. We're talking about possible refinance options, which I don't, talking to Diane before this meeting, I don't think it's going to be an option, but we're still going to explore it. We're finding ways to lessen this impact, and as we get more information and more guidance on it, we will update you as it goes along.
Is there an option to sell it?
No, we can't sell it because of, go ahead, maybe I'm speaking wrong.
I don't know yet. We're looking at that. We're looking at the real estate that, and we will really need to talk to Clay, because Clay at Foltz Walker was the one who did the real estate transaction. But we're trying to identify whether or not the conservation land was a separate purchase from the building itself. So I've always been under the impression there was conservation land, we couldn't sell it, but I don't know that for a fact yet. So we're still investigating that.
I remember a meeting where this was brought up, because I said that was quite an expensive office space, and it was told that we could sell it. So that's why I'm asking whether or not we can sell it.
So we're going to look into it because it was, we have to look at the way it was structured and the way it was closed to see what that conservation money was used. If the conservation money was used for the overall purchase, we won't be able to sell it.
But we're going to be responsible for paying the money, though, as a city.
Out of Wild Spaces. Yeah, we're working on it. I just wanted to put it on your radar. We have very little information. Me and Diane have only met twice, and we got to get a hold of the county, the assistant county manager, Gina Peebles, and we'll probably go to the Infratax Oversight Board to see what options are on there. We really don't know what our options are yet because we're just in the infant stages. Really became on our radar maybe 2 weeks ago, and really got ramped up this morning. Was it this morning? I think we got the email that, or yesterday. So right now, we're starting to dig into it. I just wanted to get it on your radar because it is major.
So is there any other projects that was purchased under that same stuff that we need to be concerned about?
I don't think so. Nothing that's going to be concerning. There's other municipalities, locally, La Crosse has, is in a similar situation because of this, again, unintended consequence of the legislation. And we're not the only ones. We've talked to the lobbyists. We are actually trying to influence legislation to fix it, making a legislative amendment. Is that what it's called? Legislative amendment? To help fix this unintended consequence. But I just wanted to make you guys aware of it.
Commissioner Howell?
I just want to take a second and say, we talk about a lot of stuff in this room, and a lot of things happen outside of this room that really make our city a better place. To our employees, it's a fantastic team, and to the city manager, city clerk, everybody involved. I am blessed to be elected and be sitting here tonight. So,
Commissioner Bloodworth?
All good, other than I enjoyed being off with most of you guys in Tallahassee. It was a fun experience.
All right. I got an email about a dangerous road condition on 188th.
Okay.
Has anybody checked that out? All right, was I the only person that got the email?
First I'm hearing of it, but if, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
What's the condition so we can?
They said it was raining and people were getting stuck in the mud or something. I don't know.
Jason will take a look at it next week. Okay. Sounds good. We'll get it looked at.
And our employee of the week this week is Miss Christy Atkins. All right, and I will